you all. Welcome to another session for the Andragogy of Learning, including principles of trainers methodology. For this particular session, we're going to learn about the training activity matrix. So this will be the last topic under the Unit 1, which is prepare training facilities and resources. Of the learning objectives, first one is plan the activities of each trainee using the training activity matrix and prepare training facilities and resources for the training session. Say training activity matrix, it is a tool, it is a monitoring tool which is recommended to schedule and monitor the use of the facilities and resources. So we know that in the competency-based training, we rely on the different facilities and equipments in order to support our teaching learning process, wherein we focus on the skills development of our trainees. So very important that we must have this tool in order to schedule, to secure the use of the different facilities which we're going to use in the particular training program. So this training activity matrix should work hand in hand with your session plan. So for this time, later on we're going to discuss how do we develop the training activity matrix. The session plan we know from our previous discussion and even with your other Prof Ed course. Huh? It is a plan for the whole qualification and for trainees with different learning styles. While the training activity matrix is a daily plan which will show the activities of each trainee. So as I was saying, this training activity matrix is a monitoring tool so that we can monitor, we can see the progress, the performance of our trainees. So usually this is part of the competency-based training components in the CBT workshop, no, together with the achievement chart and progress chart. So we also have this training activity matrix so that we can see who are those excelling, who are those performing in your class. So this is usually posted in the walls of our workshop layout. So this matrix is a monitoring tool of the trainees' activities for the trainer. So for us, as future educators, so you can easily determine the performance of your trainees if they are doing well or they need to be reminded or you need to reinforce them in order for them to proceed to the necessary activities to be performed in order to achieve the competency. So the vocational instruction supervisor or the VIS and the administrators may also look for this matrix when monitoring competency-based trainings. So in the technical vocational institutions, this is one of the documents being checked by these higher officials in these particular education institutions. Okay, so there are some cases that they monitor, they visit us, teachers, regarding our training. So this is one of the tools which they look for. So meaning, we should always accomplish and we should always present. And this must be present in our workshop layout or even in the actual workshop. It is a good indicator that the training being implemented is using the CBT approach. The trainer may print a copy of this plan or the trainer may keep it to his or her computer. So it is recommended that this matrix is updated daily. So this is an example of a training activity matrix. So as you can see, in this particular training activity matrix, you need to identify the unit of competency which they are focusing. Okay, we also have the training activity. We also have the trainee, the name of your trainees, the materials needed, the training venue, the date and time, and the remarks. So later on, this will be your activity for this particular lesson. Okay, the training activity matrix. So I will explain this one furtherly in the succeeding slides. Some guidelines in making the training activity matrix. Number one, write the training activities for the session based on the training needs and on trainees' chosen competency. So in this particular uh, matter, you will be using your accomplished or developed training plan. Okay, so you will be referring to your training plan. So the activities will depend on the result of your TNA and of course on your crafted training plan. Okay, so that is your number one guideline. Number two, based on the instructional sheet needed in the activity, job sheet, task sheet, and information sheet, list down the facilities, tools, and equipment needed for the activity. The inventory of training supplies, tools, equipment, and facilities is very useful when planning for the activities of trainees in a class. So if you're going to remember, part of your training plan is you also specified the training resources. So you just need to transfer or copy the specified training resources which you have identified from your training plan to your training activity matrix so that in the actual, no, this will be the reference of the laboratory in charge, for example, on what particular resources does your student need to use in the particular time so that the laboratory will be prepared. Okay? So number three, instructional sheet number should be specific. Number four, trainees should not be crowding in a workstation area. Limit the number of trainees to 5 and below per workstation or learning area. Especially we are focusing here is the skills development so that we can manage it. Okay, so it will be manageable in the part of the trainer. Number five, ensure full utilization of equipment or work area. Okay, avoid limited number of equipments to be idle to prevent crowding of trainees. Number six, date and time of use should be specified. So of course, based on your training plan, you also specify there the schedule. So kung ano po yung schedule natin na isinulat sa training plan, so yun na din po ang ilalagay nyo sa training activity matrix. Number seven, remarks should be made on the activity of each trainee. So this will be specific. So if you have 25 trainees, the remarks will be individualized. Okay, so of course, our trainees, no, they have these different characteristics. Some of them will be fast learners, while some needs to be reminded. Okay, so this will be your guide in planning for the activities of your trainees for the next session. You may include the following remarks for assessment, to be assisted by name of a peer mentor, needs more practice. So these are some of the remarks that you can incorporate in your training activity matrix, especially if the trainee doesn't perform well or he or she doesn't perform the necessary skills to be exhibited for this particular uh, learning outcome. Okay, and any other comments pertaining to the training of each trainee. Number eight, the number workstation will vary depending on the number of workstations in the CBT layout. Number of workstations may also be dependent on the number of mock-ups per competency. So as you can see, the guidelines are very well aligned to our previous topics. So your workshop layout, your inventory of tools, the facilities tools which you have specified, your training plan. So this must really be consistent. So you will find it hard to develop this particular activity if it so happen that your previous activities are not well organized. Okay? So those are the guidelines in developing your training activity matrix. So it is recommended that this activity matrix be accomplished as a guide in scheduling trainees for every training session. This is an additional tool in monitoring trainees' activities and the use of facilities tools, supplies, and materials. So aside from monitoring their performances, this will also help us to organize, to schedule carefully so that they will really be, they can really use, okay, the availability of these resources based on the schedule that you have assigned to them. So in other words, you can really assure and guarantee that during this particular date and time, this particular trainee can use these specified tools. Okay? Especially if our school has these limited resources. So as a trainer, you need to do some necessary adjustments, okay? So that everyone, all of your trainees will be able to use the necessary tools, equipment, and materials. Okay? Your task sheet, after listening to the presentation, using the training regulation with your assigned or chosen qualification, and the training plan, prepare your own training activity matrix following the sample presented. So in the Google Classroom, I already shared with you the template which you need to accomplish. Please observe the proper format template in your outputs and do not forget to turn in your outputs on the designated classwork for the particular activity. So I will be discussing the step-by-step procedure in the succeeding slides. So as you can see, on the left side of your screen is the training plan, and on the right side is the training activity matrix. So first, you need to specify the qualification that you have chosen. So in my case, I have chosen the electronic product assembly and servicing. So you just need to place it here. Okay. And then next one is the training activity. So when we say training activity, so you will just copy the training activity which you have specified from the training activity of your training plan. Okay, kung ano po yung mga na-identify nyo dyan, of course, the training activities is based from the result of your TNA. So please expect that during the validation of your training activity matrix, I will be requiring you to present your training plan. So you might ask, so since we have uh, surveyed or used 5 respondents, how does this affect the training activity matrix? So the answer is you will need to prepare, as you have heard in the previous slides, that the training activity matrix is individualized. So meaning one training activity matrix per respondent or for every student. So therefore, since you have 5 respondents, you need to prepare 5 training activity matrix for each of them. Okay, so be ready to attach the specific training plan for each of your training or for each of your respondents, as well as the training activity matrix. So training activity, you will just get it from the training activity from your training plan. Okay, so for example, prepare, assemble in workplace, follow established risk, follow established risk control, and so on. So, depende po yan sa naging result ng inyong TNA and your developed training plan. Next one is the trainee. So, for my example, I have placed here respondent or trainee A since my respondent did not disclose his or her information as part of research ethics. Okay, so you can do the same. No? You can just assign trainee A, B, C, D, E, or respondent A, B, C, D, E, and so on. Okay, materials. So when we say materials, you just get the facilities, tools, and equipment listed from your training plan and copy it here as your materials. Okay, for the venue, so the venue which you have identified in your training plan. For example, in my case, I have here Lamcor Electronics Corporation and date and time. So please, as of this time, as of the moment, no, I'll be expecting that you have already made the necessary improvements or adjustments when it comes to your schedule. Okay? So it's up to you if how did you schedule your training plan. So if it's per activity, just like in my case, I have here one activity and then another activity for this time. Okay, it's up to you. And the last one is for the remarks. So for the remarks, you can just simply place trainee is finished and need to transfer. Uh, so meaning after this October 1, 5 p.m., so if he or she is already competent, he can already transfer or he or she can already transfer to the next activity, which is the follow established risk measures for work. Okay? And then for every last activity for your every trainee, you can just simply place in the remarks, trainee is now ready for institutional assessment. Okay? So that will be the process or procedure in developing your training activity matrix. May I just remind that in your case, you will prepare 5 training activity matrix since you have 5 respondents during your training needs analysis. Okay? And then please be careful. So what particular informations that you have encountered or gathered based on your TNA and based on your training plan must reflect in your training activity matrix. So meaning there must really be a consistency and alignment with your TNA, training plan, training activity matrix. As you will notice, since although the TNA was performed or conducted with the other subject, but since we are in the competency-based training, okay, or we are talking about competency-based training, these things are interrelated or connected to each other. Okay. Paul, if you already finished the training activity matrix, please do not forget that in the upper part, identify the unit of competency. Okay? So you can just simply refer to your training plan, okay? And everything will follow. This ends my presentation. I hope that you have learned something for this particular topic, which is training activity matrix. For any clarification, you can just simply message it in our respective Google or chat groups. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. Good luck and kindly do your activity carefully. Thank you for listening.